You know what's interesting to me is that people get themselves so worked up about a particular way that maybe a friend of theirs or a customer of theirs chooses to cast their right in the ballot box. Now, I know a lot of my viewers aren't from the United States, but I'm pretty sure you can probably all relate whatever local government officials you might be talking about here when it comes to the intersection of Hollywood and your whatever is going on politically in your nation. So if they're, in their bunch of movies or they're a musician, England's got, their UK's got J.K. Rowling, the Harry Potter author, constantly sticking her foot in her mouth, all sorts of things like this. But nonetheless, Howard Stern used to be a symbol for rebellion, a shock jock. But now he's just a husk of a man, another to fall victim to TDS. I was doing a live stream last night talking about TDS, and I thought, and some people are genuinely asking what that even is. Well, that's Trump derangement syndrome. Now, you can dislike the president. You can, and not have TDS. You can dislike him greatly and not have TDS. You can criticize him and not have TDS. Meaning, just because you don't like the president or just because you don't like something he does doesn't mean you have TDS. TDS is genuinely reserved for people who go off the deep end with it. In particular, Hollywood people. Tom Arnold would be a great example. Trump is driving the man insane. I've always said, and I will continue to say, I have zero interest in who my voters vote or my viewers vote for, and I hope they have the same interest in who I vote for. I'm just a YouTuber. I'm not someone who's ever going to endorse a particular candidate or tell my viewers to vote a certain way. That's enormously conceited when I see YouTubers do that. It's one of the stupidest things I've ever seen. But when you have a good career and then you make the decision that the entirety of your career is going to be about obsessing over things that Donald Trump does, that is a classic TDS scenario. And Howard Stern is experiencing that. Absolutely. He, in the last couple of weeks, have made headlines pandering to particularly other spirited TDS supporters, putting out Howard Stern blasts Trump voters. I hate you. I don't want you here. Well, if that's how you feel, this is the thing. Once somebody has accumulated enough wealth, you generally find out who they really are. And maybe that's not who they always were. Money does change people, especially when you're talking about like levels of money that none of us will ever understand. Most of us would be lucky to earn a total of $1 million over an entire lifetime. A lot of these people earn it every month or maybe every week. They're worth many hundreds of millions of dollars. It took hard work and a lot of luck and breaks to get where they are. But now that they are there, they don't want you if you don't agree with them politically, which is so absurd. Hollywood demanding that everyone think as a monolith and agree with them is ridiculous. Howard Stern claimed that President Trump actually despises his biggest supporters, and the radio talk show host said he hates the people who voted for the commander-in-chief. I don't hate Donald, Stern said on a Sirius XM radio show, according to Newsweek. I hate you for voting for him and not having intelligence, for not being able to see what's going on, for not being able to see what the Justice Department is doing. I hate you, and I don't want you here. Well, Sirius XM is a very expensive product to have, one that pretty much existed solely on having Howard Stern. Now, he probably has enough money to not care anymore, but if I did pay for Sirius XM, I probably wouldn't be paying for it anymore. And it's not even because maybe I would feel offended. It's because of the fact that he even said it at all. If he had said this about Obama. What do you think would have happened to him in Hollywood? Imagine paying this man money for his radio show when he talks like this. He hates you, but he's fine taking your money. He's fine taking those big tax breaks. He's fine, using the rest of media and the plebs out there to build his fortune. But he hates you. The Radio Shock Jock went on to say that the oddity of all of this is the people Trump despises most love him the most. Now, of course, Howard Stern has no idea what he's talking about. The people who are voting for Trump are the most part, he wouldn't even let them in his hotel, said Stern, adding Trump would be disgusted by them. Go to Mar-a-Lago and see if there's any people who look like you, he said. I'm talking to you in the audience, Stern continued. The Trump voter who idolizes the guy, he despises you. Now, this isn't based on any insider information. This is just what I would call a raging case of TDS. Howard Stern doesn't know Donald Trump personally. He may have met him a few times, but he doesn't know him. He doesn't know who he likes and who he doesn't like. And based on everything I've seen from the president, pretty sure he strongly likes anyone who will vote for him. I think that's how egotistical Trump is. I can't imagine him caring if you're poor as long as you vote for him. And to be fair, that's probably every president ever, and anyone who's ever ran for president. The idea that you could achieve such a level of wealth, and I mean, if you just look at the people who are supporting this, Joe Cooper from who's on Team Joe. You've got Chris Newman here, who's a general counsel, saying, I've spent my entire life scrupulously avoiding all things Howard Stern, but I'm prepared to change course and become a listener, a subscriber if necessary, if that's what it takes to help end this whole Trump situation. This is another perfect example of TDS. I don't like the product this person. Let me rewrite this guy's tweet. I don't like this guy's product, but because Orange Man bad, I give money. I mean, what? And you have, let's see, Chris Cuomo. Remember when he emerged from his self-imposed lockdown, except for the fact that he was out bicycling while he was supposed to be at home, but no one seems to care about that. And then he was confronted by somebody in the public who knew he was supposed to be at home, but nobody cared about that because CNN. He put, can Howard Stern withstand Trumper backlash? What happens if and when Trump comes at him? This will be a good measure of where society is. I would have thought Stern and Trump fans overlap. No. I don't think, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't consider myself a Trumper, and I don't agree with what Howard Stern said. I think it's bad business, it's conceited, it's Hollywood elitism at its finest. Imagine smelling your own farts that aggressively. And why not invite him on your show, Howard Stern? Tell him that to his face. Or would you rather just have a soundbite out there to get all these headlines of people tripping over themselves to own Trump? Like, Stern doesn't understand that the very people that he's pandering to, they're just using him. Howard Stern are Trump supporters. He hates you, and so do I. Howard Stern says he and President Trump are both showmen who love a good time, and they both hate Trump supporters. One thing Donald loves is celebrities. He loves the famous, Stern said on his Sirius XM show. He loves it. He loves to be in the mix. Stern, who is 66, hosted Trump on his radio shows several times over the years and frequently saw him at social events, including his 2008 wedding, where he seated the then future president next to Joan Rivers. According to Stern, Trump went anywhere famous people would be and is suffering now that Hollywood has turned his back on him. Can you say he's suffering? He's literally the president of the United States of America. Yeah, half the country doesn't like you, but name a president that wasn't true for. Recent. president. I mean, I don't think George Bush Jr. had a huge fan club. I don't think Obama wasn't without the people that disliked him. This is just the way modern politics are in this country. Mainstream news networks like CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, they profit from division. They don't talk about things squarely and down the middle because, quite honestly, it's less profitable. And I guess I understand why they're doing it, but I would never call them news people. Stern reflected on his own foray into politics, a brief gubernatorial run in 1994, and seemed to understand why Trump liked the idea of campaigning for office. But according to Stern, like himself, Trump isn't cut out for running a government, and the president's supporters, many of whom are also Stern fans, are to blame for the country's troubles. Right. Okay. I'm sure that everybody being sick right now, that's the president's fault. The fact that nobody wants to pay for Sirius XM anymore, that's his fault too, right? Or is it maybe because people don't like the Howard Stern show anymore because he's basically a sellout? Maybe people don't want to pay money to somebody who will openly say that they hate them. I can't imagine the level of cuckoldry that would be involved in paying that bill every month. You can say things. I watch a lot of people who say things that I disagree with, but I generally don't pay them money to do it. I mean, it's just different. It's just, Howard Stern is no different than Chris Evans or Britney Spears or any of these other Hollywood elites that think they have it all figured out from their multi-million-dollar mansions, even though they've never had to make any real tough decisions in their life. Howard Stern judges reality shows. He's thrown bologna slices at butts. This is who he is. This isn't to diminish the empire that he's built. But pardon me if I'm going to just not really care what Howard Stern has to say about politics, and really anyone else in Hollywood for that matter. Hope you enjoyed this video. I'm sure this won't affect your subscriber count at all, Howard Stern. Not that you clearly care. Hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.